Blunt Cuts is a podcast fueled by creativity, curiosity, and empowerment. We cut through the daily mess of life. This is unfiltered honesty. Park your passive at the door. This is Blunt Cuts. Welcome to Blunt Cuts. I'm CJ. And today we're talking about grace and giving yourself some, and more CJ giving herself some. So I've been struggling a lot lately with these huge goals of creating a brand that's worldwide recognized as a place for women to take life head on and start living unapologetically. Yeah, just that. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to just lean in and learn and grow. And I'm constantly reading. I mean, I think my favorite section is like self-help and, business books. And I'm consistently learning from leaders and loving to just learn different styles that, successful people have. And one of these things that continually comes out as a theme that I'm finding that I don't have is routine. And having a routine and how important this is to success. Well, yeah, I don't have that. I'm not good at that. I hate routine. So then I look towards other things because I think you can find yourself in anywhere if you look hard enough, right? So I'm looking into this idea of variety being the spice of life. So I can hang with that. I'm spicy. But yeah, I don't like routine. I don't like leftovers. When I went to work, I'm currently going up my stairs about 3 minutes from my kitchen. But I would rarely take the same way to work when I went to work. I never get up at the same time every day. It's within a realm of time because of requirements of a commute. But yeah, the list goes on. I don't love routine. My husband, complete opposite, creature of habit, eats the turkey sandwich every single day, is completely fine with that, knows that's what his lunch is, has that every day. I'm like, gross. I can't do that. I can't have the same thing twice in a week or month. I don't even know. I'm not that way. So throughout this new normal, which I absolutely hate that term, and I've removed it from anything professionally that anyone on our team is allowed to say when we communicate out to the world, because this is just life. And but yes, AKA lockdown. I've been working from home, right? So my commute has two options, stairs or no stairs, because I am in an upstairs office and my bedroom's upstairs. So technically I can go from my bedroom to my office, no stairs. If I go down to the kitchen to get breakfast, I have stairs. So there you go. Stairs or no stairs. If I'm really ambitious, it can be inside or outside. But outside Wi-Fi and all the things just takes more time than I'm usually ambitious for. So yeah, it's Groundhog's Day every day, all day. And I'm kind of okay. I cry a lot. But I'm kind of happy, which is just the funniest time of this world. Yeah, and I'm happy. And I think that this routine of a non-routine, but this routine has kind of come out of necessity, and it's not absolutely awful. I do find myself kind of having the same thing for breakfast, or going through the same motions, or oddly waking up at a very close time and showering and getting ready and getting dressed, and all of these things are becoming part of life right now. And I think now the difference being variety is really stressful, and that variability adds a lot of risk. So I think lockdown has changed me, or at least today I'm changed. But it's been 140 plus days since we got the stay-at-home order. Not that I'm crazy with notches in my wall. My husband's literally like, how are you still keeping track of this? But I had to look it up because I went through, and I'm sure so many other people have this similar perspective, but I know the first 40 days I was a crazy mess. I didn't want to do anything. I had no motivation. I looked around and I saw other people making true magic and using this time to do amazing big things. And I'm the kind of person who on maternity leave was like, I'm going to write a book on maternity leave. Yes, I am. I'm going to do this. And okay, yeah, the book didn't happen on maternity leave, but usually I would have been the kind of person that's like, all right, seize the day. Like, what can I tackle? What am I going to do? How am I going to really utilize this change in time? And like, I literally, it was a win if I'm showering, right? So knowing myself, knowing mental health, knowing I've gone through, stages of anxiety and depression in different places and spaces, like I thought, okay, like this is probably a really accurate representation of like, hey, you're going through some depression right now. Like check that with yourself. Um, but I mean, I just really think that I was a mess because of the world being a mess. And that idea of like wanting to create magic to create and like take the day and seize and succeed. I was just worried about people and other people and not me and not focusing on like my own success. And it became really clear when we were all rocked by the murder of George Floyd and the world was shattered like a plate against the wall again. So I think as a privileged white woman, I shut down. Um, and I'm probably still shut down a bit, but I'm trying. And I'm trying to look at, waking up every day and thinking a little bit more in that mindset of my definition of success and what that means. And in this realm of like, I've got big goals for Blunt Cuts people. We've got big goals as women. Like it is our time to really tackle and take on the world. Um, but right now I find myself saying a lot of like, not today. And CJ 150 days ago would have said like, fuck you, you will tackle this, you are going to do this. Like, yeah, she was really crazy. And love her so much. But really, I think, what am I pushing for? I'm pushing for, and what do I want to accomplish? I'm pushing for this place for women to live unapologetically. So why am I so focused on like apologizing for just needing to take a hot fucking moment to breathe? And yeah, so that's where I am right now. And I'm really taking on this idea about to be there for women and myself. And we need to realize that it's not always about pushing, and it's about being and letting others know, like, hey, I'm here. So today, CJ is having some grace. I'm having grace on myself. That's really hard, but I am. I'm having grace on others. Like, it is fucking hard. It's hard for everyone right now. Like, we've got to be patient and graceful with each other. And it's a lot. Like, it's a whole hell of a lot of stuff happening right now. And it's so easy to be combative or see something and say, oh gosh, that's poorest intentions. I'm just going to social media for sure. Like, it's a fucking shit show right now. And like every single thing I post, there's immediate retaliation. Like somebody didn't even read the whole post before they're like going to comment like about one way or the other, or maybe they didn't even read what I post. So it's like this instant reaction. Similarly, I'm finding in a work capacity in email, people aren't processing. They're just like freaking out, like exploding, and then realizing, oh my, like, whoa, like where did that come from? Anyone other than me and my teammates. So I think grace is just such a great lesson, and I'm learning right there. But there's a whole hell of a lot of stuff going on. And yeah, that whole variety thing is really just too spicy right now for me. And it's so funny. I like make these notes. I'm like, spicy. What's the opposite of spicy? Saltine. So I am a saltine. Today I'm a saltine, dry ass fucking cracker with a little salt on it. And that's okay. And it's going to be okay. And I know that like this fire in me is going to come back, and it's going to come back even stronger. yeah, I'm getting a little choked up because I know it's in there. And you too are okay if you've been changed by all of this. I don't believe there's a rule book for living, parenting, working, and succeeding in a pandemic. If there is, I don't want to read it anyway because I fucking fail at that book too. So yeah, I think let's just grab our Zoom codes and cocktails and chat with each other. Pants totally optional because that's the world we live in, right? Pants are not required right now, and that's fucking great. It's time for a quick break. Welcome back to Blunt Cuts. Let's keep talking.
Do you talk to your friends about your mental health? I'm going to ask you again. Do you talk to your friends about your mental health? And do your friends talk to you about their mental health? You know, I think that over time, I've really gotten to know like my mental health and where it is. And it's been a journey. And I think the biggest thing for me is just opening up and talking about like the nuances of my day or these small pockets of moments where it's like, yeah, I'm tired. I don't want to do anything, or I just need to get this one more thing done to like feel accomplished. And overall, like all of these things really are like mental health related, right? And I continuously, my favorite section of the bookstore or the library is self-help. So I know this in my nature, like my undergrad was psychology. I definitely have always loved reading about like how our brains work, how we think as people. And I've always kind of struggled with this. Like a lot of people externally see like me as very confident and very driven. And I've struggled with it because I know that that comes from like a place of a kind of an anxious place, right? And I started learning a lot about high functioning anxiety. And I just want to talk through that a little bit because it kind of circles me back to like talking about this with my friends. And I think a lot of times, I think all of us as human beings have some level of anxiety, depression, and maybe it's seasonal. Maybe you don't have, you're not seeing anyone for any of your mental health. Maybe you're not seeing a therapist. I love therapy. Like if I had all the money in the world, like I would just like employ a therapist, I think forever, because I just feel so good talking about it. And that's probably why I have a podcast, right? Like I feel so good just like talking about where like things are. And even if I don't come out to a solution, I love talking things through, and I always have. I think my partner is not a talker, and he is not a talker of feelings. So I learned pretty early on that like talking to my friends about mental health and I think, I've talked to my friends about mental health before we all labeled this as mental health. Just for me has always been a part of my health. And I think that that's a really, it's a great perspective and a great place to be at, but not everyone is there. But back to this high functioning anxiety. So shiny squirrel, I'm a little bit, there's probably some levels of like distraction in my pedigree, my mental health pedigree. Is there a word? Anyway, I'm on a journey. So high functioning anxiety. So I always see these graphics, and I found one that I really like. So what you see, helpful. Okay, you see me as a helpful person. How it feels inside me is something will go wrong if I don't do everything myself. I am an absolute control freak. And I do like have this feeling that if I'm not in control and I don't do everything, that something's going to go wrong, and then I'm responsible for it. Even if it's something that someone asked for help, then I need to jump in and like do it all. and I can't delegate the best. Managing people has trained me a little bit better on delegating, but I still will always default, especially in those times that I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed in other capacities of life. I will jump in and like just do it myself. What you see, organized. My mind is frequently jumping to the worst case scenario, and I feel out of control if I'm not prepared. So this goes back to that whole bucket of like, if other things in life, we are going through a really hard time in our world right now. So if I'm not like ultra prepared, have my like emergency Girl Scout pack ready to go, I jump to the absolute worst case scenario. So I need to be prepared. And that reads as like, oh, you're such an organized human. I'm like, yeah, because on the inside, I'm freaking out if I'm not organized. Hardworking. I'm not naturally talented or intelligent, so I need to work harder than everyone else. Like that's the internal monologue and dialogue. I have always been around people that are so much smarter than I am. My husband is incredibly smart. I feel smarter than I am. So this hardworking thing, I think I get a lot of my work ethic from the way I was raised, and I saw my mom working, multiple jobs as a single mother. And I think that plays to my hardworking. But what I honestly feel is that if I work harder and I am like the last one here and the first one there in the morning, like I need to do that because I need to work harder than everyone else. And so like these are little pieces of like high functioning anxiety, which I had no idea that it was like called this. There's a few more. Okay, so detail oriented. You're so detail oriented. I am afraid of the smallest mistake and that I'm going to be blamed or criticized if I like fuck it up. Okay, so how I've like fought this one is I keep fucking up and like allowing myself to do that. And I put myself in like positions to allow that to happen because this has been the number one area I've been able to be like, oh my God, I messed it up. And like the world still went on. Like that was a really hard one for me. The next one was hard too. And I'm kind of conquering this one too. You're such a yes person. And this is a big one. The internal monologue here is if I say no, I'll be letting people down. And I don't want to let anyone down. And that's why I, for the longest time, just said yes to every single thing and opportunity and thing that came my way because I literally just didn't know the word no. You're so self-sufficient. If I ask people for help, I think that they'll think that I'm not good enough and that they won't help me. So that is something that has gone through my head in multiple times. I think there have been times where I've asked for help, like very few times where I've asked for help and then like people don't help. So then I just like get into this own thing like, oh, something will go be wrong if I don't do it myself. And then I'm definitely not good enough for people's help. So yeah, it's a shitty thing. Active. This one is a big thing that I don't know if I'll ever conquer this one, but I don't know how to switch off and relax without feeling guilty. So I don't. I do not. If I sit down for a hot minute, I'm thinking about something else or I have to be doing something else. I feel so guilty. So this is one therapist thing that we're working through. And then here's the last one on my list today. Confident. You're so confident. Yeah, sometimes I completely chatter out of nervousness and then overanalyze everything I've said. So that's how it feels in my head. You guys feel it through this podcast, right? That's the whole point of Blunt Cuts is chatting nervously and overanalyzing everything in my head. And you could feel me going through that list kind of fast. And I could feel me going through that list kind of fast. And I think that that's part of my anxiety too. Like when I start talking about myself and these little moments, I'm like, okay, I don't want to talk for too long about it. And it's a real thing. And that's where like I've learned the biggest thing is talking it through to you all, talking it through to friends. And then the most beautiful thing about that is, so Michaela and I are like, when we'd be on our way to the studio, that would be our like morning, like, how are you? It's kind of like hey, we're going to get a pizza. What do you want? Pepperoni or sausage? With Michaela and I, it's like, hey, this was a shit heavy fucking week. How's your like check-in in? How's your mental health? How are you fucking doing? Like, I'm not doing good. Are you doing good? Oh, how are you doing good? I'm not good. You know, like we will compare like our nuances with each other. And it's such a lovely thing in our friendship that like, that's what I want. I crave more deepness like that. And I have been bringing that into my friendships and into my life and into my partnership with my husband. And like the more we talk about where we are in a day is so important to let others open up about where they are and how they're, you know, manifesting into their life, right? Like it's crazy. The more I bring it up, I have friends who are like, I don't even feel like I'm me inside my body. Like, what is going on right now? And it's I get there all the time. Like there are days where I'm like, who the fuck is in here? Because I'm not here. I don't know where I am. I'm on a beach somewhere. I'm not here, but I still like I'm functioning through my day, right? Another thing, like this comes up at family gatherings. A certain side of my family, like we're really open about talking about like all of our ailments and disorders. I don't know. I think we have since we were kids, and it's what people do when they like hit a certain age, but we have always done it. But it comes up all the time because much of our family has some ADD, you know, treated. Everybody's like on Ritalin. I've never have been. And I try to explain to them that like, it's because I'm high functioning. And it's not that I don't have those like moments of complete lack of focus and like y'all know, lack of focus or these moments of like self-deprecation and like they're all that is all here. But I am high functioning, so it manifests differently. And I think that's such an interesting thing in what our society like puts on. Like I'm really thankful that I'm able to function through this all and you know, for the most part, like figured out, oh, if I talk it out, if I talk to someone, I can get through it. But like our society views these qualities that I just listed as like, you're a great leader. We should hire you, or you should get a promotion. And like, I've worked my way up through like this high functioning anxiety, right? My education, my like, I was driven, I couldn't get an A minus or I would like be devastated. Like it was a super unhealthy way, like way of like getting to where I got. So now I think I'm at this stage where I'm like, oh, I should be like, do I thank my anxiety? Do I like where? So I don't know, but I'm at this point of yes, I guess. Like I don't know. I just like to greet my anxiety. Oh, hello, you're there. Recognize it. She doesn't have a name yet because I don't like to put like, it's not her fault. It's not her fault. It's part of me. But anyway, I think that it's like greeting it, figuring it out, learning more about it, and realizing that for some reason in our society, these traits of like being confident, being organized, being hardworking, being helpful, like sometimes there's more to that and there's more underneath that. And the reasons people are that way are, for me specifically, is because I don't have any other option. Like I am a like space case if I don't be that way. And so and I talked to my cousin about this because we're very much, we have these issues, but for me, it's high functioning. For her, it's not. For her, she can't get out of bed. For her, she's lost jobs because she can't, you know, get up in the morning, or she's not able this isn't the way her anxiety manifests, right? So we've talked a lot about that, and I'm like, that's not fair. Like, why does it? It's like it feels the same. What you explained to me, what she explains to me, is how I feel too. But for me, it like has been seen as a good thing, right? And so working through with my therapist and like talking about, I've had multiple therapists like leave me, by the way, so I don't really know what that's about. But like through those journeys of the most recent one who was like, yeah, I don't think I can treat you anymore. Was a situation of, she's like, I think you're just doing too much and you won't listen, that you want a solution, but you're doing too much. And like, I think where we weren't like seeing eye to eye is I wasn't looking for a solution. I know my solution is talking about it. So therefore I just need her to be there to let me talk about it. But it's hard. It's hard when you like have a psychology background, when you read 80 billion self-help books, when you're like podcasts, like that's my favorite podcast, like to listen to. Like I love the way our minds are, they work so differently / similarly, and then how that's recognized out in the world can be like a tiny difference that somebody else is going to get an opportunity versus someone isn't, and how things are manifesting. So I went on a little bit of a journey there with like jobs and life, but I think it's just so interesting to me. I'm so fascinated that like the qualities that people see in me are still like rooted in my anxieties, like they are. And maybe this is the way it is for you too, or maybe you're on the other end of the spectrum where you're like, oh, this just sucks, and today I just can't do it. And yeah, I'm here for you. I'm here for that. Talk to me, talk to your friends. I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned, is that the more I talk about it, the more others talk about it, and the more they talk to their friends, and the more their friends talk to them. And we all are dealing with, this cool, complicated organ we have in our head called the brain. And sometimes they're tricky and they can play tricks on us, and we got to figure it out. But learning about yourself, I think, is the starting point. And the moment I started knowing a little bit more of myself, I'm not a huge labeler, but having a few labels to like work on, to research more about it. And then when it like started feeling like, oh yeah, everything I'm reading on this is totally me, you feel able to connect, and then you can kind of explain yourself within your mental health community a little bit. And I think it's important. So we all have shit. And yeah, even your friends that are like crushing life seemingly, they're struggling somewhere. They are. And I hope they aren't, but they probably are. So check in, especially during like this really hard time in our world. We've all got something affecting us. So have grace. Be patient, have grace with yourself, recognize those things, those qualities that people see in you, and like make sure that that is healthy for you. And that's what I'm working on. I'm working through this, like, yeah, I am driven and organized, and some parts of that of me I love with that. But there are some things like the yes, I've gotten much better at saying no. And then the detail thing, like I'm a perfectionist, and I've recognized that as well. So the moment I can just like fuck up a little bit more and like learn through my mistakes and be okay to make a mistake, it's helped propel my creativity even further, is to like not get it right the first time. So now I'm kind of thriving to set out to do things to not get it right the first time. So Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. And let's continue the conversation on Instagram. You can find us at Blunt Cuts Podcast.
Blunt Cuts is a production of Matriarch Digital Media. Executive producer Twyla Dang. Edited by Beth K. Gibbs. Production assistant Mia Register. You can find more great podcasts from Matriarch Digital Media at matriarchdm.com.